Hi, welcome to this presentation on e-safety. This is just a short presentation for anybody who wasn't able to attend the Governor's meeting and training on this topic. I'm going to go through just the important stuff and give you a little bit of background as to what we do as a school and what you need to think about in terms of e-safety yourself and what we're planning to do over the course of the rest of the year. I'll also talk a little bit at the end about a survey which I would be grateful if you could complete. So, e-safety is really important. I'll not play this video for you, but it just highlights all of the different devices which are now in use by students and staff. So we have all of these different ways of accessing the internet, and we need to make sure that people can use them responsibly and safely and effectively. And it's not an easy task because, like I say, there are so many different ways now of connecting to the internet and of communicating with other people online. We think e-safety is so important that our digital leaders, our students who look at ICT across the school, visited Google recently, and they give their e-safety advice to Google and talk through what they think big companies need to do to help schools, students, parents, and people in the public with e-safety and staying safe online. I'll just skip over the pictures. So why is this presentation important? Well, it's about you understanding the dangers that students face and how we approach dealing with these. It's about you understanding your own responsibilities and having an understanding of the school's roadmap. So these are the dangers that students face. This table here comes from the Byron report, which was commissioned by the government to look at e-safety and what everything, the research says about it and what students can be subject to. And what they found was that there are three different categories of danger. There's content, where the child is a recipient of something that's happening online. There's contact, where the child is participating in communicating with somebody else online. And then there's conduct, where student is the actual person doing something unsafe or irresponsible online. And these things can all take many forms. So you can see the different categories here. Commercial, we all know that there are lots of adverts online and that we can get spam emails and things like that. Now, what we try to teach students about is how to recognize when something is an advert or it is spam or it's trying to get your personal details and trying to protect them against that so that they know enough to avoid those things. For contact, then, like I've said, these companies actually try to get hold of people's personal details. So we give students real life examples of this, things that have happened in the press. We also talk about emails that staff have received and show them how those emails are actually trying to get information such as bank details or names and addresses and things out of the person that they've been sent to. And then we talk to students about this. Lots of students don't see things like downloading music or videos online as being illegal. And obviously, if that information is subject to copyright, they are breaking the law by doing that. So we talk to them about all of these things and the importance of not gambling online, watching out for financial scams, and also things as far as terrorism. This column here about aggressive is really about cyberbullying. So it's about making sure that students on the receiving end of that, or they don't come across websites which are hateful or have violent messages. And we obviously protect students in school with filters and stop them from seeing things like that. But at home, we don't have that control over what they're doing on their personal devices. So it's about educating them on how to deal with those websites and approach and avoid them. We talked a lot to students about being bullied and making sure that they're not doing any bullying online. It's just the same as if they did it on purpose, but also the routes that they can take if they feel that they are being bullied online or being made to feel uncomfortable. Who can they tell? What can they do about it? How should they react to it? And we make it clear that they should be respecting each other. This one here the sexual column, we all know that there are things like this on the internet, and it's very, very difficult out of school to block access to these things. We advise parents on how to put filters online on their home internet so that their son or daughter can't access these things. But we also know that there's a large proportion of our children go home and they don't have any filters at home. Students can be met and groomed by strangers. There are examples of that in Northumberland, where people have actually been approached by people. They've met people that they've been talking to online, and those people have turned out not to be who they said they were, or they've actually tried to physically harm the student that they've been talking to. So we talk a lot to students about making sure that they understand who they're talking to, making sure that they don't go and meet people who they've met online that they don't know in person. And if there's any reason why they would actually do that, they take a grown-up with them and they go with their parents to meet that person. Obviously, we just advise that they don't do it at all. But it's just making sure that they know that they can't tell who everybody is. And then we obviously make sure that students understand that they cannot actually create this material themselves and upload it. We have had instances of students taking photographs of themselves and sending those around to other students. So that's something that we've done a lot of education around, and obviously we tackle those things when we come across them as well. And then the final column is all about values. There are a lot of sites on the internet which are simply untrue, misleading. We hear a lot in the media at the moment about fake news, things which just aren't actually the truth, and people are just basically coming up with that news to try to sell articles and paper and drive traffic to websites. So we do a lot of education around that and making sure that students understand that they can't trust everything that they come across online, and they should be looking at multiple sources. They should be looking at reputable sources. If they're not sure about information, they can talk to an adult, one of their teachers. And we obviously protect students against these things as well. So we have all the filters in place in school. But once again, it's about what do they do when they go home, and what understanding do they have themselves so that they can protect themselves from the types of values that we might not want them to be exposed to online. These are just a few stats from our students. So we're pretty good in this school, to be honest, when you compare the results from our survey to most schools across the country. We've had this validation from the eLearning Foundation that our students actually come out as being very, very savvy when it comes to Esafety, and they really do know the stuff, which is promising to hear. But despite that, I think that the surveys that we've done show that we've still got to keep on top of this, and we've got to continually do this work with students. Problems online, the main one was being bullied or receiving hurtful messages. 42% of students thought it was easier to say something hurtful to somebody online rather than in person. And this graph here is the one that I think we really need to think about. This is where students share things that concern them online. So most of them, you can see 61% of our students share their concerns with a friend rather than with an adult or somebody else. We've got 68% of our students have unfiltered internet access at home. That's a large percentage. That's out of the students who filled in the survey, so there may be more than that. We had a good return on the student survey, but there was a small percentage of students didn't fill in that survey. I would hazard a guess that probably a large percentage of the students who didn't fill in the survey also have that unfiltered internet access at home. And what we're doing from this is obviously we're passing these details on to parents, and we're sending home the advice about what they can do to protect their children at home. Main communication tools, they use things like Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Snapchat, and Kik Messenger. Now, these aren't tools that adults typically use. The likes of Kik Messenger and even Instagram and Snapchat aren't too popular with teachers and other adults that you talk to, and parents. So they are using different tools to us. It's important that as a school we stay on top of that.